In the murky underworld of hip-hop power struggles, one feud has simmered beneath the surface for years and now it's boiling over, the feud between 50 Cent and Jay Prince. On one side, you have 50 Cent, the South Jamaica hustler turned rap mogul who built an empire off sheer grit, controversy, and fearlessness. On the other, Jay Prince, the silent but deadly figure behind Rap-A-Lot Records, known as much for his street credibility as for his alleged behind-the-scenes control over the rap game. Their beef isn't just about personal dislike, it's a war of principles, power, reputation, and control. It's a saga with deep connections to extortion claims, charity battles, and the lingering shadows of criminal enterprise. And it all came to a head in Houston. The tension between these two giants became undeniable when 50 Cent started calling out Jay Prince publicly, mocking his influence, calling him out over control tactics, and throwing shade at the people surrounding him. 50 Cent doesn't back down from anyone, and when he started questioning Jay Prince's motives and so-called authority, it was a declaration of war. But this wasn't your average rap beef. This was personal and deeply rooted in business, street politics, and mutual resentment. 50's jabs were more than Instagram antics, they were surgical, exposing cracks in Prince's carefully curated image of untouchable respect. It wasn't just 50 talking. Many in the industry whispered about Jay Prince's alleged role in controlling artists, making calls behind the scenes, and using his name to intimidate. While some considered him a protector of Houston culture, others quietly accused him of extorting respect through fear. And when 50 Cent brought attention to those whispers, he broke an unspoken rule: never speak against Jay Prince unless you're ready for the smoke. But 50 has never been one to follow rules. Things escalated around the time of the Takeoff tragedy. Jay Prince and his son were tied to the event by association, with many questioning why so many high-profile incidents seemed to happen around their circle. 50 Cent used the opportunity to highlight what he called hypocrisy, pointing out how Prince always shows up in the aftermath, issuing statements of peace while allegedly holding power in the very chaos he condemns. 50 accused Jay Prince of playing both sides, of being the peacemaker in public and the puppeteer in private. That struck a nerve. Jay Prince clapped back, subtly but sharply. He made it clear that certain boundaries shouldn't be crossed. But 50 pushed harder. He used his social media platform like a loaded weapon, bringing up unsolved cases, making indirect references to past incidents, and calling out the fake charity fronts he claimed were being used for image control. 50 even compared Prince's charity efforts to his own, boasting that while he was putting real money into education, food drives, and his G-Unity Foundation, Prince was allegedly using nonprofits to sanitize his reputation. Behind the scenes, people in Houston began to feel the heat. 50's presence in the city came with both respect and danger. Some clubs hesitated to book him, fearing Prince's influence. But 50 didn't care. He showed up, hosted events, and even teased real estate investments in Houston just to prove a point. He wasn't afraid of Jay Prince or anyone in his orbit. And the message was clear. I'm not from here, but I'll plant my flag here anyway. What makes this beef different is the psychological warfare. 50 Cent is a master at media manipulation, using memes, interviews, and indirect shots to chip away at Jay Prince's image. But Prince plays the long game. He's not as loud, but his moves are strategic, often invisible until they land. That's what makes this feud so explosive. It's two different kinds of power going head-to-head. One is loud and unpredictable, the other quiet and omnipresent. But both are lethal in their own ways. As 50 continues to question Prince's alleged connections to organized crime and his influence over the music industry, he's essentially daring someone to silence him. He's pushing boundaries others tiptoe around. He's hinting at secrets that many would rather stay buried. And each time he posts, he's turning up the heat, forcing the industry to pay attention even if it means risking relationships. That's 50 Cent in his rawest form, provoking, exposing, and surviving. The Houston connection isn't just geographical, it's symbolic. It's where power and reputation are currency. And by stepping into that territory and challenging one of its most feared figures, 50 Cent is making a statement that echoes far beyond the streets. He's not just beefing with Jay Prince, he's calling out an entire system of control, one that's existed in silence for decades. Whether this ends in an all-out media war, legal battles, or just more shadowy back-and-forths, one thing's certain: 50 Cent versus Jay Prince is more than just drama. It's a clash of ideologies, ego, legacy, and street mythology. And every move they make is being watched, not just by fans, but by those who understand that in the world of hip-hop, power never plays fair. And when two kings go to war, the fallout is never simple. When 50 Cent walks into a room, he doesn't whisper. He doesn't shake hands and keep it quiet. He speaks loudly. He exposes things. He names names. That's what he does. And lately, the name he's been saying the loudest is J. Prince. You know 50's not scared of anybody, not the feds, not the streets, and definitely not a man like J. Prince. But see, J. Prince isn't just a name, he's a myth, a legend, a shadow behind the curtains of Houston's rap scene. He's the guy who's been whispered about in barbershops, backstage, and boardrooms for years. The man whose respect is demanded, not requested. But when 50 Cent started peeling back layers, talking about power, extortion, and industry manipulation, he wasn't just talking about some random dude. He was talking about a man who's supposedly been running a silent empire, one that doesn't like bright lights. And that's exactly what 50 brings. Bright lights, loud volume, and no filter. So when he started comparing his G-Unity Foundation, helping actual kids, putting books in hands, creating real opportunities to what J. Prince was doing in the streets of Houston, he didn't just throw shade. He reads a fire. 50 said straight up, if you're really out here for the community, why are you extorting artists? Why do people fear you more than they respect you? Why does every time there's trouble, your name ends up in the mess? And that's when it really got heated. Because J. Prince, a man known for controlling his narrative, wasn't used to someone flipping the mic on him. 50 pulled up receipts, videos, allegations, rumors that have been floating for years but never dared to surface on a mainstream platform. He said, look, I've worked with law enforcement, but I've never used fear to control artists. I've built businesses. I've taken losses. But I never had to threaten someone's family to get my way. And that's where the Takeoff case comes in. That night in Houston. That party. That so-called private event under the protection of J. Prince Jr. 50 didn't say it directly, but he hinted hard that the way things went down that night showed something deeper. A lack of real control. Or worse, a setup cloaked as security. He said, if your people are really protecting celebrities, why does violence keep following them? Why are artists scared to go to Houston without checking in? And why is checking in even a thing in 2025? This ain't the mob, this is hip-hop. But J. Prince, he sees it different. To him, checking in is respect. It's protocol. You come to my city, you follow the rules. But 50 doesn't follow rules, he breaks them. He said this whole check-in culture is just organized extortion wrapped in a pretty bow. If you don't pay homage, bad things happen. And in his words, that's not business. That's a shakedown. Now, 50 Cent's not perfect. He's had his beefs. Ja Rule, The Game, Diddy, and even Dr. Dre at one point. But the thing is, he always brings facts. Or at least, his version of the truth. And when he looked into the camera and said, Houston, don't run New York, that was a shot fired. Not just at J. Prince, but at the whole idea that any one man can control an entire coast. He reminded everyone he built power. He built G-Unit. He didn't need anyone's permission. He said you either evolve or get left behind. And in his eyes, J. Prince might still be playing a 90s street game in a 2025 industry. 50 called out the hypocrisy, how some people preach peace while operating through intimidation. He said, if you're really for the culture, why do you silence people who speak out? Why do artists suddenly fall back when your name comes up? And then there's the Drake connection. 50 didn't name him outright, but the shade was clear. He questioned why artists from the North still feel tied to a Southern figurehead. Why does one man hold so much sway over careers that aren't even from his city? He made it clear allegiances are fine, but blind loyalty is dangerous. And 50 ain't blind. He sees everything. And he's willing to say the stuff most rappers only say in private. The deeper part? 50 hinted that there's a bigger web. He said people think J. Prince is the top, but he's just a middleman for even bigger players. That's the kind of thing that makes people nervous. Because when you pull back the curtain too far, you don't just find men, you find institutions. Hidden networks. Old money. And 50? He's never been scared of burning bridges, especially if he thinks the bridge is rotten. He said, I'd rather walk through the fire than let someone control me. And when you say that to a man like J. Prince, who built his career on being the one nobody talks back to, you're not just challenging a man. You're challenging a legacy. The beef between them isn't just about two egos. It's about control. It's about the future of hip-hop. One side wants tradition, power structures, gatekeeping. The other side wants exposure, truth, independence. And every time 50 speaks on it, he adds more gasoline. But the truth is, people are listening. Younger artists are paying attention. They're realizing maybe they don't need to check in. Maybe fear isn't the price of fame. Maybe being loud, honest, and disruptive is actually the way forward. And 50? He's not stopping. Because once he starts digging, he doesn't stop until he hits the root. So now the industry's watching. Is Jay Prince going to respond with more than just Instagram captions? Will he try to flex again? Or will he realize that maybe, just maybe, his time at the top is being questioned not by disrespect, but by evolution? One thing's for sure, 50 Cent won't be silenced. And whether you love him or hate him, he's forcing the game to confront the things it's tried to hide for years.